Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Godfather Chronicles. My name is Miguel Garcia and I am your host. My friends, I hope you're doing great. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. As for me, I spent my Thanksgiving with over 20 people at my house because that's how it is in my house. We can't have 1/3 of the family at these events. Anyway, wanted to please ask you to follow me on Instagram at MAGPatriot. On Facebook, you can find me at Miguel Godfather. And if you have any questions, any comments, email me at miguel@godfatherchronicles.com. And I ask you to please share the podcast with friends, family. If you get any value, please give it a rating, and again, send it to your loved ones. So today, I want to talk to you about something that has been on my mind for about 10 days. An acquaintance of ours passed all of a sudden, and he had 8 children. And to me, when I heard the news, the first thing that popped into my head is like, wow, he's there. You know, he already met God. He knows his faith for the rest of eternity. A priest used to tell us that once you're dead, your fate is sealed. It's like if you close that envelope and mail that letter, right? There's no getting it back or anything like that. The Catholic Church teaches that during our lives, we have the opportunity to do good, to gain graces, to gain a higher place in heaven if we do the right things, if we are kind and charitable to people. There's a lot of ways to gain graces, and these graces help erase the debt of sin. They help erase the debt you owe to God due to sin. For example, let me give you an example. You know, we're pretty good friends. You know, you have a really nice car. I come in with my car and my brakes don't work and I hit your car. I mean, yes, you're upset. And I am upset as well. But you understand that it was an accident, right? And so I come out of the car and I said, man, I'm really, really sorry I hit your car. I apologize. And then you say, no, Miguel, that's fine, man. It was an accident, you know, bad luck, whatever it is. But then we don't go our separate ways. There needs to be reparation for the damage that I created on your car. So it's the same thing with God. When we sin, we cause just per se damage, and it has to be repaired. God forgives us. I mean, you forgive me because I hit your car. It wasn't intentional, and you forgive me, but I still have to make reparation. So basically, that's how grace works, in the sense that your good deeds count as payment towards your debt. Anyway, so I'm thinking about what would this man, this father, this husband would do if he could come back. You know, think about that. If God gave you the grace to come back and amend your life, what would you do different? What would your priorities be? Would your priorities be to, make as much money as you can? Or would your priorities be, I have to be the best human being possible? And, when you're a good human, good things happen to you. When you're a good human, God takes care of you because you're doing the right thing. God is not unjust. God is not going to punish you because you're doing the right thing. You know, we see people, they seem to be getting away with things. And sometimes we wonder, like, what the hell? Is this fair? And, you know, it's happened to me before where I go, man, you know, I'm here doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And those guys are just taking advantage of the system, or they're doing all these things. They're stealing, they're cheating, they're stretching the truth. They're stretching the boundaries of ethics and things like that, and they seem to be getting away. Well, you know, they're not, because at one point in their lives, all that stuff catches up to them. You know, God is just. If you're cheating or doing the wrong things or whatever, you're gonna get your punishment. I like to think of God, you know, like a father. And so if my son is misbehaving, I'm not going to reward him, right? I'm going to try to correct him in every way I can. I'm going to try to push him back into the, you know, good ways, and back into being a honest, virtuous man. I'm not going to let him go do crazy stuff. It's the same thing with God. But anyway, getting back to this person that passed away, I want you to think about your life, and I want you also to think about your death. If you're lying on your dying bed, what do you think is going to go through your mind? What are your regrets going to be? You're going to look back, and like they say, you know, that your life is flashing in your mind so fast, and you know, what are you going to be thinking about? What are the things that you're regretting? What are the things that if God gave you the opportunity to come back, you would change? Would you be a better husband? Would you be a better brother, sister? A better human being? A better business person? What would that be? You need to do this exercise. You need to lay in bed, close your eyes, relax, and think about this. What if I died tonight? Where would my soul end up being? In hell or in heaven? You know, I know some people don't believe in hell and heaven, but it's just as ridiculous as people don't believe there's a God. This episode is going to be a little more about what I believe, because I'm a little more sensitive because of this situation. So bear with me. I do have a point. Okay, so there is a God. I was at the eye doctor the other day, and there was the schematics of the eye, and it is so complicated, and I'm in awe. I'm just looking at the schematics of the eye, and I'm going, wow, look at the design. There were like 45 components on just an eyeball. This was created. It wasn't, you know, a big bang that caused to have all these components in your eyes. It's the same thing with the ears. If you look at the composition of the ears, or any part of your body, look at the heart. Your heart beats by itself. It doesn't need a battery. Well, in theory, the proof that we have a soul is in your heart, because your soul is energy. And when your soul, your eternal soul, departs your body, there's no more energy in your body. You know, people get fascinated with the brain. Oh, you know, all the electrical pulses and all this stuff, all the activity and all that shit. Well, that takes energy. And the brain doesn't have a battery either. It doesn't create power by itself. What powers your heart and your brain? It's your soul, your eternal soul. So you got to think about eternity. You got to think about, where am I going to go after I die? Where am I going to land? You know, those folks that don't believe in God, I really pity them, because they are acting irresponsible. They don't want to really find out if there's a God or not, because if they find out there is a God, it probably goes against what they're doing or their lifestyle, and you're going to have to change. And that's why people choose not to get too deep into God. They like to be on the surface. That's the wrong approach. You have to understand that we're not of this world. We are eternal beings. God created us for heaven. We fuck it up here. We are the ones with free will that we choose to do all the atrocities that mankind has done because of free will. God doesn't impose those things on us. We do it. Again, I'm going back to the paternal figure of God. I do what I want to do. And God, in a way, has no saying, because he loved me so much that he gave me free will. It's like with any of my children. If they choose to do something, they're 18 or whatever, they choose to do something outside of our boundaries, outside of our rules, outside of our culture, whatever, it's their choice. There's nothing I can do, because they have free will. So God gives us free will, and so we could do either good or bad. So you need to think about that and see where you are right now, and what are the things that you're doing. What are your priorities right now? What are your priorities? Is it to make a shit ton of money? For what? Let's say, I'm older than most of you guys, but let's just say that you're in your 30s or 20s. You're going to make a shit ton of money and going to forget about your soul. And then you get to be 70, 80 years old, and you're going to die anyway. And you're going to lose your soul. That's why, our Lord said, what does it profit a man to win the world and lose his soul? So let's just say you lived a successful life, 75 years. Let's just say 80 years, 90 years. What is that compared to eternity? Look up the word eternity. It doesn't end. So our lives will be a speck of sand in the desert compared to eternity. So we need to invest in eternity. And this is the time to do these things. God allows, people die all the time, right? And so folks that have died, that they're probably close to you. My dad died a few years ago. He was 75, 76 years old, and he died of there's something wrong with his lungs. Fibrosis, pulmonary fibrosis, I think. That's what he died of. And he wasn't a smoker. But anyway, he died of that. And I watched him die. I spent the last few months with him. I spent the last few days with him in his house. And I had all these conversations with him. And, thank God my dad had very clear in his mind that he was going to die, and he prepared his soul for his death, for his trip to eternity, so that when you go When you die, when your time comes, you open your eyes and there's God. There's your judge. He's going to judge you based on your life, on your actions in life. We're like, well, God cannot be this bad. God cannot send people to hell. All right, let's go into the natural level. Let's say that you are a bad human being and you commit crimes, and you go up to the judge. You go to court and they judge you based on your actions. And the judge decides that because you killed somebody or whatever, you committed a heinous crime, you deserve to die. So is it the judge's fault that you committed a heinous crime? Or is it a just punishment because of your crimes? The judge is impartial. He's just looking at the evidence and dispensing the correct punishment. It's the same thing with God. God is looking at you and saying, okay, look at your life. You did this, you did that. This was good, this was bad. And at the end of the day, it's us who send ourselves to either heaven or hell, because it was always up to us. Always up to us. I don't want to get too morose in this or whatever, but people focus on the wrong things. Society says the happiness and wealth is in the material things, and it's not. You guys got to know this down deep inside. We're miserable because we're not living our lives. We're in the rat race. We're trying to live a life that pleases others. It's just like, I remember when I used to live in Chicago, folks out there were competing all the time. Oh, I got this nice stereo. Oh, well, I'm going to get a Marantz stereo. Or my neighbor got this car. I better get a better car. And they were always competing with each other, full of debt, credit card debt. And it's just like, man, we're competing to live a life full of fleeting whims and toys. It's all fake. I get upset when people said that there's no balance. I know there's some guys in the Arte group that say there's no balance and all that stuff, and they're being very very narrow-minded, in my opinion. I love you guys. This is my opinion. I respect what you think, but I'm going to tell you, there needs to be balance. When you're building that business, you need to have balance. Because if you don't, you will lose your family. You will lose your soul. It's not easy. It's easier to run by yourself than to bring your family and your faith and all with you. It takes longer, it's harder, but it's worth it. How many of you guys, or how many people do you know that because of success, because they want to be very successful, they lose their family? So their family starts as their why, as their burn. And then when they get up to the success ladder, climb that mountain of success, they turn around and there's nobody with them. They lost their family. They lost that why. They started, well, I want to be successful because my wife is my family. My why is my family, and I'm doing everything for my family. And then we'll just take off running and we leave our family behind. No, you have to balance that. I know some folks say, well, balance is zero. When you put the balance, when it's balanced, is zero, and zero is nothing. And that is just stupid. Okay? The balance is not balance at zero. Okay, so think about the statue of justice. It has two ways, and you balance it by putting stuff in it and making it balance. It's like when you're working out. I mean, you have a 50-pound weight in one hand. You're going to curl 50 pounds in one hand, and you're going to put 30 on the other one. No. You balance your weight. When you're bench pressing and all those things, you're balancing things. Life is the same way. If you have 24 hours a day and you're running around 16 hours a day building your business and you're not spending any time with your family, you're not balanced. If you are spending 12 hours a day and not enough time with your family and not enough time with spending time with God, you're not balanced. You're off balance, and that's why we're miserable, because we are off balance. Try to start balancing your life. If you're spending too much time at work, yeah, I know it's hard, man. You got to build a business. You got to take care of the family and all this stuff. But the family needs you. Your family is not willing to sacrifice their happiness to see you be successful. And you shouldn't sacrifice your family for your success. And you shouldn't sacrifice your God, your religion, your soul, your eternal soul for success. You have to balance it. And I know you guys are going to go, well, I'm doing fine or whatever. Well, if you're doing fine, great. Do the exercise. Close your eyes, pretend you're dead, and do an honest analysis of what's going on in your life and what your priorities are. Then tell me if you're in balance, if you have balance. I'm not trying to scold anybody or anything like that. It's just that we need to get back to the simple things. We complicate everything. Life is not hard. People ask me, well, how do you do it, man? How do you do it? How do you build the businesses? How do you, make time? You fucking make time. It's a priority. If it's a priority, it's going to get done. My family is a priority. Right now, it's about 6:15. And I call my wife and I said, baby, I finished what I had to do at work and all that stuff, and I have to do the podcast. I'll be home. And so I took the time to call her, tell her I love her and all sorts of things. She knows I'm okay. She knows I'm good. She knows that in about 35 minutes, I'm going to be home. Then when I'm home, I am home. I'm not going to watch Monday Night Football. I'm going to sit with my family, have the dinner or have a glass of wine, have a conversation. I'm going to talk to my children. I'm going to kiss them. I'm going to hug them. I'm going to have those conversations with them because they are important. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up at 5:45 in the morning. I'm going to do my breakfast. I'm going to help my wife with my children, dress up my twins with Down syndrome. Then I'm going to wake up the rest of the kids, give them hugs, give them kisses. I'm going to go to Mass, 7:15 Mass. Then after Mass, I'm going to go to work. God willing. But that's my routine. I've sacrificed a lot of my fun time, you might want to say, or my personal time for my family and for my faith, so that I could be in balance. I had a mentor of mine that he worked crazy hours, and like got up at 4:00 in the morning, and he would be in the office at 6:00 doing some work, and then at 6:00 he went out running and all sorts of things, and because he wanted to be home by 5 every day, no matter what. And I kept saying, man, how do you do that? And he goes, Miguel, the question is easy. Do I sacrifice myself or I sacrifice my family? That is the question you have to ask yourselves. Do you sacrifice yourself or you sacrifice your entire family? Answer that question. You know, I myself, type A guy, and I'm willing to go through that. I'm willing to sacrifice myself. I'm willing not to watch TV. I'm willing not to go out or have a social life so that I can stay with my family and make up the time that I lose by staying late at work or whatever. Anyway, you know, we started this podcast talking about the person that passed away, and you know, he is right now where he's going to be for the rest of eternity. You have to ask yourself the question: where are you going to end up? Where's your family going to end up? What kind of man or woman are you? What kind of person are you? You know, do the exercise. Lay down on your bed, close your eyes, think about your life, think about your death. When you die, what are people going to say about you? You know, Gary Vee has something about like, oh, the success is measured on how many people go to your funeral. That's fucked up. That's some fucking egotistical shit. You know, we worry about our fucking legacy more than we worry about our souls. I don't give a shit about my legacy. I am concerned. I do worry about my legacy because I want to leave a good legacy, but that's not the end. You need to worry about where your children's souls are going to be when they die. You need to worry about where your soul is going to be when you die, because that's all that matters. My good friend Andy Frisella asked me one time, he said, why does God allow children to die? It's a very good question. I mean, it's a pretty honest question. I mean, it was one of the things I like about Andy is that he's a good soul, man. He's like the British say, he's a good egg. And he's got an honest question. It's a pretty honest question. Very, very, very good question. And so I said, look, my son died. He had cancer and God took him. Why did God allow him to die? Because God lives outside time. I'm going to get a little crazy with you guys, okay? So, you know, let's just say, look at your desk or look at your kitchen table. You're standing above it, and your kitchen table it's time. God is you. You're outside time. You're not on the table. God looks at the beginning and the end. So that's how God looks at everything. God lives outside time. So he's looking at the beginning and at the end. And if he allowed my son to get sick, was because he might have lost his soul, or my son was so good that God really wanted him in heaven. So the way I look at it is, our goal is to go to heaven, is to save our souls. My son accomplished that mission barely at 7 years old. So he won the race. He beat everybody. He beat all those billionaires, Bezos, and all those clowns that are only worried about money and all that stuff. He beat them all. He beat me. He won heaven way before me. And that's how you need to look at life. That's the race, my friends. That's true success. When you are on your way to save your soul and the souls of your children, that's the price. When you're on your way to do that, you know you're doing good. You're going to have peace. You're going to have tranquility. You could live within your means. I know that sounds kind of crazy because everybody wants to make a ton of money or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. I want to make a ton of money because I want to make a huge difference in the world. But that's not the end. That is not the end, my friends. Saving our souls. I hope that this message helps you become more aware of where you are, where your priorities are. And I hope that if you could wake up and realize that you're not doing the right thing, that you start doing the right thing. So you got to be honest with yourself. And I hope that you could change and correct your ways. I'm not preaching down to you. I'm saying this because I love you. So I want you to save your soul. I want you to stop believing on all these gurus that talk about money and, all these freaking income streams and this and wealth and all this. That's great, man. Let's do that. Let's make a shit ton of money. I'm with you. But don't sacrifice your soul or your family for it. That's all I'm saying. Do not sacrifice your soul and your family for wealth. If you could balance it, you are a winner. You got the best of everything. You are somebody that has earned my respect. So my friends, love you very much. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at miguel@godfatherchronicles.com. You give me a follow at in Instagram at MAGPatriot. And if you want to reach out to me on Facebook, it's Miguel Godfather. I'll end this podcast with the hope that you are going to apply some of the things that I share with you. I think the most important thing is for you to stop and find some quiet time, lay down on your bed, and really think what's going to happen if you die. What's going to happen to your family? Are they going to be taken care of? Are they going to remember you as an awesome dad or mom? Or are they going to say, man, that guy was a fucking beast. I'm glad he's dead. What are your friends going to say? Not that it matters, but do the exercise. Think about all these things. And also think about where is your soul going to be for eternity. Thank you. God bless. Take care.